So my friends, in today's video we're taking a look at the BenQ PD3225U. Yep, it's really called that. Don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and click the notification bell to get my next video first. So this is the newer version of the PD3220U, also a fantastic name, which we looked at a little while ago, and that was an excellent monitor, so I'm expecting good things from this. Now the PD range is the professional range, and so therefore they come pre-calibrated, and that, believe me, is a definite bonus. One of the things I love about this monitor is the stand. It's the same as on the previous version, but it's just so easy to put together. Just literally pop it into place and then screw up the butterfly clip at the bottom. All of the connections are underneath towards the left-hand side of the monitor. I'm going to be connecting this to my Mac, and there is a second Thunderbolt 3 port for daisy chaining to another monitor if you wish. You just clip the stand into place, peel off the little bit of film on the back, and then you're ready to go. Now the maneuverability of this monitor is fantastic. It is so easy to move up and down, turn it portrait. You can have it set to auto portrait mode as well, so it will just spin the picture around automatically, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But you can operate this easily just with your little finger. There is very little resistance, yet the monitor still feels incredibly stable. There's plenty of movement up and down as well, and also left and right. Okay, there's a little bit just to do on the front. There is no protective film, so don't try peeling off at the corners. And this monitor does come with the Hotkey Puck G2. Another thing that's still present are the quick access connections on the right hand side, where you've got headphone, USB and another Thunderbolt port. So what's your thoughts on the design? I think it's about perfect for a monitor. The stand is really good because it's so flat it doesn't really take up any space on your desk, and if you want to have something on top of it you can do easily. It's literally just a couple of mils. But the edges around the display, the matte display is great. It works brilliantly for reflection handling, and it has this feature too where you can turn it into portrait mode. You can set the monitor to automatically detect its orientation, so therefore when it turns into vertical it will switch, and when you turn it back into landscape then it will switch back into that. So again, that's just a nice feature which just saves you having to fiddle around with the controls. And because the cable management on the rear is all pretty loose, you don't have any issues with cables getting tight or being pulled out when you're switching it to and from vertical and landscape mode. So again, that's really nice touch, which is something which I have had problems with on other monitors. So I think overall the design has been very well thought out. On the back of the monitor are the joystick controls, 2 custom buttons and the power button. But because this monitor comes with the Hotkey Puck G2, then you're probably not going to be using those too often. With the Hotkey Puck, not only do you have very quick access to different display settings, you can program it and you can bring up the on-screen display and navigate through that. You have the dial, which is the round thing in the middle. It's got a push button on it to bring it up. You've got the rotation key, the return key, and then 3 single function buttons. This works perfectly and it's very responsive and is almost instant. In fact, it is instant. The on-screen display is very simple to use and is very functional. It's got everything that you're going to need, but you don't have to control things through the on-screen display. You can use Display Pilot if you download that to your device. And that, I found, was the quickest and most simplest way. Download it, it will be there in your top bar if you're on a Mac, not sure on a PC, but you've then got full access to all of your different controls. And believe me, this time on this monitor, there are just so many things that you can do. I'm not going to bore you in this video, but let's just cover a few of those things. One feature I really like is dual view. This is where you can effectively split half of your monitor into different color modes. So for instance, you could have the left hand side as your MBook and the right hand side as a Rec 709 color gamut, for instance, or animation on one side and CAD on the other. You don't have to have one and keep on switching between. Other features within the Display Pilot software are the access to Auto Pivot, which you can turn on and turn off. I showed you that earlier. And you've got things like Print Assist, which will give you an accurate representation of the actual size that is being printed. You've also got access to Picture-in-Picture, and this is where you can turn that on, turn it off, so that you can access a second source, whether that be TV, gaming, another computer. You can access this from the main on-screen display also, and there's multiple controls for you. There's different size pictures, so you can have small, medium or large, and you can move it to all 4 different corners of the screen. Or if you want to, you can have it as the splitting the screen, and you can have the option to switch between which is the main source. You also have a quick access to all of your inputs, so again you can choose to switch between them this way if you wish. The PD3225U has 85 watt power delivery, which means that you can charge your MacBook and it's just a single cable connection. And with the daisy chain technology and another Thunderbolt 3 port, you can also connect another monitor. A nice touch from BenQ is that the cable included is a Thunderbolt 4 cable, but it has got backwards capability. But if you've got a new Thunderbolt 4 device, then you don't have to worry. The ICC sync feature in Display Pilot will automatically match and synchronize all of your ICC profiles on the monitor when changing between color modes from your Mac and the BenQ monitor, and all of this is done completely instantly. There is no delay. So it means what you see on one screen is exactly represented on the other, and that can be really important. I mentioned earlier that this has an IPS black panel, and there are a few advantages to the IPS black. The contrast ratio has been bumped from 1000 to 1 to 2000 to 1, and that is a noticeable difference. And with the IPS black, you get better viewing angles, and you also get less light leakage. And with what some would argue is the much needed increase in brightness from 250 nits now to 400, it really delivers an incredible picture. Okay, so let's start off with wrapping up, and I'll go over some advantages and disadvantages, but let's start with the disadvantages. One thing that has been improved this year is the speakers. That, though, is not an advantage because it's still only gone from 2 watts to 2.5 watts. I would like to see a better sound system on this. Some people will want this as their only setup, but you definitely will need to add speakers. That is not a problem, but it is something that you'll just need to consider because it is an extra expense. The refresh rate on the monitor is still only 60 Hz, and that is a little bit disappointing. And it would be good is when your computer's asleep, if you could press the hotkey puck and it would turn on. The screen will turn on, but unfortunately the computer doesn't. But I do have to say, I still think that those are only minor problems, and for only to have 3 minor issues with a monitor which is going to be your everyday workhorse, that's not bad at all. As you'd expect from BenQ, the color accuracy is fantastic. It covers 98% of the P3 color gamut, 99% of the sRGB, and 99% of Rec 709. So I will put some of the more straightforward, boring specs up on the screen in just a second, but if you're a creator or you're someone that just wants real good accuracy, then the BenQ PD3225U is definitely got to be a consideration. The improvements over the 3220 is definitely worth the upgrade. It is noticeable almost in everything that you do. It's kept everything that was good about the 3220 and improved it with IPS black, giving you the better contrast and the extra brightness. So here are all the main specs. If you want to read these in detail, then obviously just pause this video. But for me, I think the design is perfect. The size being 32 inches is absolutely fantastic. And with the extras and the improvements that it's made, this has definitely got to be a consideration. I do wish they would just address a few of those points that we mentioned earlier, but those are still pretty minor, and this is a great device. That's it for this video, my friends. I hope that's been helpful for you. If there's anything that you want to ask, then please do so in the comments. But otherwise, I shall see you on the next one.